We
There you
got the
go.
Harry Potter movies, baby. We're gonna be ranking these, and man, I'm about to piss off everybody watching this right now. Probably Braden too. He might have to. You have some controversial ones too.
Yes.
Okay. You said
Yes.
that so solemnly. Yes. So if you are a big Harry Potter fan, which I'm assuming most of you guys watching are, I just want to kind of just say a few things before we dive into this. Number one, for me at least, this was my first time watching all these movies except for the first two. So the more I watch these movies, my opinions will change. In school, I read and watched the first two for like book reports. You guys remember doing that in like fourth and fifth grade? I think everybody did.
Yeah.
Had to sign that little waiver for the movies, remember? Because I think they're PG
Yeah, that's
13.
so
It was so
stupid.
dumb because I was watching like Halloween when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So I just want to kind of let everybody out there know that I'm not like a diehard Harry Potter fan, and because of that, some of the risks that they take in some movies that people that read the books might not like, I might enjoy a little bit because it's kind of a fresh idea for me. So I just kind of want to let everybody know. Because like Halloween, for example, I'm a big
Mhm.
Halloween fan. If they do something bad with Michael Myers or take a risk with him, I might not like it. But someone that's not a big fan might enjoy it a little bit more because it's a fresh idea. So I just kind of want to give an example for all the Harry Potter fans out there. But Braden's a much bigger Harry Potter fan, right?
And I'll state it here. I've never read the books, so I've actually read Cursed Child. I don't know why that's the only book I read, but it's the only one that doesn't have a movie. I think that's why I read it.
It's a weird way to
Yeah,
start. He's going to work his way backwards, yeah.
yeah, I'm working my way backwards, guys. Don't worry. Um, and no, I have a lot of friends that have read the books, but I watched all the movies and I've played all the games that have come out over the years, and like I have my little thing, my wands and stuff, and I have some Harry Potter stuff. Definitely a fan. Like I think the franchise is awesome.
You're going to see some movies on here that are usually number one and number two for some people at the bottom of my list. And the reason
Mm,
is because I just like the other ones more. But literally every single movie on this list, by the way, we're not doing the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them ranking.
yeah,
Oh
no.
no, yeah, not doing any of that. I haven't seen those films. I like every single one of these movies. I think all of them are great except for the one at the bottom of my list. I think it's good. But they're all good movies. So number 8 for me is Order of Phoenix. Huh?
And Logan, I like am about to blur
Dude,
everything out. I have
yeah.
Order of Phoenix is 8
Oh, okay, cool, sweet. Okay, so we can talk about this together. This is perfect.
together, dude.
Okay,
That's
dude.
so
So
freaking
I just want
funny.
to say this to everybody that's watching. Heard this too. You screamed so loud, your audio just went out for like 5 seconds.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
you're good.
so
No,
sorry.
dude, it wasn't
It's like
loud. It
every
just went
week,
away.
bro. I'm
Yeah.
telling you guys, if you watch last week's episode, we do not talk about this crap. This is why I get so excited. We did this is why I love this guy. We don't talk about anything, and our
No,
hate's the same.
dude,
That's super
I
funny.
can now finally do a TikTok montage of us doing the same thing. Like I can actually
Yes.
do it now because it's been 3 separate occasions that we've
Yeah.
done this. This is crazy. Yeah, Order of Phoenix, dude, and we probably have a lot of the same reasons. I'll just dive into a few of mine.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go negatives first.
Yeah.
The Umbridge is such a stupid character. I hate her. She's annoying, and it's okay if you have an annoying character, but she was to the point where it was like unwatchable almost,
Oh
dude.
yeah. When she
Right?
got taken away, thank
Oh my
God.
God,
Thank
That's when the movie
God.
became great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesus, dude, and I could not stand her. I hated it. It was like I said, I don't mind an annoying character if they do
Mm-mm.
good to the story. She was just like annoying, and also at this point in the movies, I was really annoyed of the dark Defense of the Dark Arts teacher always being the bad guy.
Being and it's always switch. Yeah, it's always a new person, and it's always the main villain in
It
the
was so
movie.
stupid. Like I knew she would be a bad person. I was like, this is why. Like I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
hated it. It was dumb. I didn't really understand it, to be honest. I thought it was pretty stupid. What else, man? Didn't like that. Oh, I expected a lot more Voldemort. With the end of Goblet of Fire, they set up an amazing ending. I was like, Voldemort's back. It's gonna be crazy. Let's get it.
Hmm.
And then he doesn't show up until the last 5 minutes again. What are we doing?
I agree,
What
and
are we
that's where my
doing?
thing with that movie, to me, and this is me personally, it is the most not pointless, but every other movie has a significant moment in the movie that's crucial for the arc. I feel like this movie had the least important like Umbridge was the most important character, and it was just kind of like, ooh, it didn't, it didn't attract.
It
And
was
I
a it
think
was a
like
filler
for
movie.
book readers, what I've seen is for book readers, a lot of some people think it's like really good and true to the
Yes.
story.
Yep, because it
But
is.
But and then that's the thing, like we haven't. We're this is a film, you know. We're going off the film, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just sorry, like the other ones, like even, and that's why it's higher. And you can already, you know, since this is our last one, like Sorcerer's Stone, like it's just more interesting to me, and it has more crucial, defining Harry Potter arc moments that need to be there. Whereas this one, I'm dealing with like this short redhead who's just annoying as hell the entire time, dealing with the same script, and then we have to flop like headmasters like 5 times.
Oh my god, dude.
One movie.
And there was there's so many other aspects of her character I remember I hated, but I don't remember exactly what it was, if that makes sense. You know what I'm talking about. Like she was just, like
Yeah,
super annoying to the
it
point
made
where
good for the actress.
she's
She
no,
did a
she's
really good job.
phenomenal. I mean, she was great. She did
She's
exactly.
so annoying.
That's like you look at like bullies, right? Like if you hate a bully in a movie or TV show, that means that they're an incredible actor and they're doing what they're supposed to do, and then their writing's awesome. All of that. It's exactly what this was, and maybe that's why book readers love it. Dude, I agree with you 100%. That's something I've realized. A lot of the people that I talk to that are big on the books, they love this film. They think that Umbridge was a perfect cast and thought that she was exactly what she was supposed to be. But I think it's because they had an expectation, and my expectation. Listen, your opinion on movies and TV shows and seasons and stuff, it's all based on expectation. That's all it is. It's what you expect.
The fifth film, right?
Fifth one, yeah. It's right after Goblet of Fire, which is the fourth. Oh my God, dude. I don't know. It's dumb.
Too much hate.
Yeah, what?
That movie to me gets a lot of hate.
Goblet?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
We'll talk about that.
Talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, we will. So yeah, dude, this film, like I said, there's an expectation. You don't set up a Voldemort being the main villain and then just get rid of him again. Like that just it's like if
for Umbridge.
Infinity War. Let's take Infinity War for example. Yeah, for Umbridge. Let's take Infinity War. Let's say that is Infinity War, and then there's Avengers Endgame, and it was like a Captain America movie. Like it's like
yeah, right.
What?
Like Bucky,
and then the Red Skull comes back.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, dude. It was like
threw me
off. Yeah, I didn't.
And that's
like
the thing. There's just too many for me as well. There's a lot of villains that you're like, who am I trying to focus? Like, who's the main antagonist in this movie? I mean, it is her, but at the same time, like, it shouldn't have been. No offense.
Yeah. So those are. I just realized I had a lot more negatives than positives in this one. The only. The two things that really stood out to me that I really liked. Number one, the army of kids, the Dumbledore's army. Remember?
Dumbledore's army.
And like in Harry Potter was like teaching all the kids, Expecto Patronus or whatever. That was cool. Yeah, dude, I like that. Like that was actually, I love that they were playing in secret, and then Umbridge and the Slytherin kids, Draco and all them were trying to, find them. And they did.
You know what's awesome. Funny? You made a Captain America reference. It almost feels like Civil War. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of have like the clash in the middle. And one of my favorite things actually about this movie was seeing Dumbledore be the most powerful wizard of all time. His prophecy. He was just goated.
That was my second
one.
And
then he was kind of matched with Voldemort, but dude, still for his age compared to his undead creature that just got brought back, he's almost full power, whereas this man's 80. I mean, come on, it's like Yoda fighting.
I think isn't he 100 and something or no?
Yeah, you get my point.
Yeah, dude's
he's
up
over
there.
100 years. Yeah.
I do got to say this, dude, and it's never good when when the last 5 minutes of your movie is the best part. And that's what this movie was. The only really good thing, other than the army of kids, which got overshadowed by how bad Umbridge was as a character, was the whole Dumbledore versus Voldemort fight at the end. That was the only other good thing. And that was an incredible fight, man. I mean, you see Voldemort appearing, you see Dumbledore, and they're fighting. And you finally see Dumbledore in the act. You've never seen him use magic ever in the rest of or at least not do it like that. You know what I mean? Never uses wand. He comes in, bro, and he starts matching with Voldemort.
Yeah.
Dude, it felt like Mortal Kombat, dog. It got me hyped. Which I was like, why would you wait? That should have been in the second act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I felt like, I don't know, with the writer of the books, bro. I can't remember her name right now. What is it? J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, right.
I felt like she just did this book and / movie as kind of a filler. She was like, "Oh, I gotta extend the series because this could have been part 2. This could have been part 1 and part 2 right now. You don't need especially the Half-Blood Prince, which we'll get into in a little bit. Had a lot of issues. I love the movie, but had a lot of issues in the sense of it felt like almost like another filler movie, but it did a better job when it came to characters and stuff like that, which is why it's more high up on my list. But once again, though, it just felt like another filler movie. You can take out Prince, the Half-Blood Prince, and the Order of Phoenix, and the franchise doesn't change too much. Think about it; it doesn't change at all, really.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
you have the Sirius Blacks because I think Sirius Black dies in Order of Phoenix, right?
Yes,
Which
that to me,
I didn't care though. Is that
really,
bad?
I
Is that
love his
bad?
character.
I don't know.
No, no, no.
I don't really
I
care.
mean, you know what I mean. If you were to be like, well, I don't know. It just depends on who you like as a character. You know what I mean?
It was sad, but like it just didn't line up with any of the other deaths that happened later on, in my opinion.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, I kind of felt like they could have kept him a little longer
Oh,
too.
dude, I thought that's what I'm saying. I thought he would mean more to the story. I think that's probably why
Yeah,
I didn't like it because I was like, there's so much more here, and then you
yeah.
just
No, I
like
totally get
rip him,
that.
and he was unneeded after he was unneeded after Prisoner.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They set his story up to be like such an important character, and then after that,
Yeah,
you don't even really see him in Goblet.
you
And then
know.
I know he comes back super healthy in Order, and it's like, where'd you go, bro?
Thank you. That's it, dude.
Great to see you,
And
but it's like, where'd you go, bro?
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like it didn't feel right. And I think that's why I didn't care about his death because I was like, why? What are we doing? You know
What
what I
is
mean?
why is
So
why, bro?
yeah, why?
Why,
So yeah,
bro?
I didn't really like that at all, personally. So yeah, that's kind of my opinions on the film. Just like I said, a good movie, but not great. Just because that's probably listen. If you gave me a all the Harry Potter movies on DVD and Blu-ray, that's the last one I would pick to watch. I just don't care for it.
100%. It's just like you said. It feels like the most like a filler movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's great moments in it, and like to the book fans, you probably really love that movie, but just to sit there and watch like the rest of them give me a better rush and more nostalgia. You know what I mean? So nothing against the movie, like Logan said. It's a great film, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely on the bottom of the list.
I want you. Now this is where it's gonna switch up. I think
It
this
might
is
switch
where
up.
I listen. Everybody watching right now, I just want to say this.
It might
Actually,
switch up.
Braden, let's let you do seven first, because I don't want I want people to at least watch for another 10 minutes before they leave when I say mine. So go ahead.
All right, and you might be mad at me. I
Do
don't
it.
know. I don't know your list.
Okay.
This was my eight, and then I switched it around, and it's not because I think this is a bad movie, and that's why I ended up putting Order at the bottom because I think Order is decently a worse movie. But oh man, seven for me is the Sorcerer's Stone.
I expected that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. The only reason that it's like that is because I feel as if the series continuously just keeps getting better. Like the dynamic is more, like the character development is more, like the emotion is more as they get older. And I think what that movie does so well is it's so nostalgic and it sets up everything. It feels like Hogwarts Legacy. Like you're getting put straight into the world of Hogwarts, and like you're seeing this life of little Harry Potter, and you're introduced to Hogsmeade,
Yeah.
and you see your very first tiny glimpse of Voldemort and Tom Riddle. Like it's just a super super cool thing. Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was a dope movie, and I think it's super nostalgic. But I do feel as if the other movies, like it's exactly what it is. Like when you think of sequels, you want them to be better than the first one, like in an idealistic world. So I feel like that's why it's almost at the bottom, just because I think, like we were saying, Harry Potter is such a good franchise. It just kept getting better, but it definitely outshines Order of the Phoenix by like levels.
Yeah.
And like I said, that one could hop up and down between my 5 and 6. To be honest, I almost put it higher, but my 5 and 6,
Okay.
I'm a little biased on. I won't lie. Like my whole list, I'm very biased on. Besides a few of them.
I get that. I get that. Um, yeah. I don't know how I want to do this. Should I start? I don't know if I should like extend on that or if I should just like wait until I rank it myself. I don't know.
Wait till you rank it yourself.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
probably do it. It'll be better that way. Get
Okay.
opinions,
Okay,
unless you
cool.
have like comments you want to say.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, I don't have any disagreements. So yeah, if we have any disagreements with what the other person says, then we'll
Yeah,
chime in. I don't disagree at all. I get that. It's just an introduction. If people aren't into introductions and they want the gritty good stuff, then I get why they want to move on. I'm just more of a purist in the sense of I love the first entry. We talked about this. I love the first
yeah.
entries. I
I was
love the
gonna say
first
we talked
seasons.
about this.
Stranger Things. Everybody loves season 3, season 4. I love season 1 because it's new, it's fresh, it's mystique. I love it.
Yeah,
And Outer Banks, season 1.
it's that. Logan always talks to me. This is something like he really put in perspective for me. It's like when something is so new, the watcher, the reader gets to make up all of like the character stories, and like there's still so much room for what's to come and like what we don't know. So it leaves you more interested. And he talks about that a lot. And it's a very good point. Like even with this, like you probably see the first one, you're like, God, what the hell are they gonna
What's
do
out there?
next?
What's in those
Yeah, like
woods?
what's more? What's the worst? We haven't seen
Yes.
anything yet.
Yes, you
So I
get me, my
totally
boy.
get
You
that.
get me.
I get you,
So
baby.
I'll expand on that in a little bit. Now I guess, man. So here's my number 7.
Oh,
Like I said, all the Harry Potter fans watching us right now, just subscribe while you can, and like the video while you can. If you're watching on YouTube. Okay, so
is it Prisoner?
I got Prisoner of
Really?
Azkaban at 7.
Oh,
The reason, and just listen.
I have a freaking
Like I
feeling,
said,
man.
bro, I told you too. It's not my favorite. And listen, I there's really not any big negatives for this film, except for one, which I'm gonna get to in a second, which has to do with expectation, like we talked about with the Order of Phoenix and how I just expected more out of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can flip this list with putting Prisoner at 1, and I would totally understand. It's a great film. All these movies from here on up, I love. I think they're phenomenal films. But here's my problem with Prisoner of Azkaban, dude. I did like the Sirius Black stuff. I love the mystery. I really enjoyed that. I thought that story was really well done. The Dementors are really cool, especially when they're on the Hogwarts train and they come up and they
Yeah.
freeze everything, and it's scary. It's really cool. But there's 3 things that kind of threw me off a little bit.
Okay.
I love the time travel stuff. That's another thing. I like that. I'm a big time travel guy. I thought that was cool. I thought they did well with that. Number 1, the biggest thing, one of the biggest things, the tone change. I like that they're getting older and that it's getting darker. I'm a big horror fan. I like that. But I think since it was just the first movie that had that change, it threw me off, if that makes sense. The first 2 films are
'Cause I was
fun,
gonna
family
say,
movies.
that's why I like it actually, because it's like
And
it,
I
like it
totally
starts
understand
to
that.
explore things a lot. You know what I mean?
I dig that, dude. And I totally
That's such
understand
a
why
fair
people would
point,
think
though.
that. I just think like it's the first, it's hard to transition so
It's almost like watching a new series, like a spin-off series.
Yeah, and I knew, and people, I remember, listen, I'm not even a Harry Potter fan, and everybody said this is where it ramps up, this is where it gets crazy, you know what I mean? So I knew that the tone would change, but it felt like this movie took a lot of the negatives because of that for me, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
it took a lot of the hit, and then the Goblet of Fire is even darker, but I enjoyed it a lot more. So it's not the tone, it's just the tone
super weird
change.
because I it's a close one for me, but a lot of people like would flip it. Obviously, like a lot of people have the Goblet of Fire pretty low, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. So I just think because it's the first one that deals with that tone change, that's what kind of threw me off. You know what I mean? And I just, I had to come around to it. I kind of had to warm up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so that's one. The next thing that I wasn't like too big on was the werewolf stuff. It felt like Harry Potter walked onto the set of Teen Wolf. You know what I mean? And it felt so. It was weird. I thought I was watching Vampire
It focused
Diaries,
on the
dude.
morphing beasts, yeah, and no, that's totally understandable because everyone's now a rodent. Like they even made like Ron's pet for the last 13 years,
That's what I'm
15
saying.
years,
It got
a
stupid. in my
freaking
opinion.
person. You know what I mean? It was kind of. I do totally get what you're
Okay,
saying. Like
thank
it's
you.
a little like,
Yeah.
why did you press so much on that topic at
Thank
least?
You take all,
And it did a lot.
It did. That's what I'm saying. You take that
Not
away.
even just with them,
Dude,
yeah.
the movie was focused on werewolves and the other dude, the other teacher. Remember the teacher that teamed up with Sirius and was in the Order of Phoenix later on. Lupin. Yeah, not Loomis. That's from Halloween. Yeah, Loomis. The black eyes, the devil's eyes. Lupin. He turned into the animal, the dog or whatever. I think he did that by choice, right? It was when you wanted to change. It was like the movie was focused on that, and then there was a lot of talk about those different morphing, and people didn't know, was it, I don't know, I might be wrong about this, but I remember them thinking, oh, is that real, is it not real, or people actually like that, or they not, remember? And then eventually show that they were real.
And I think that's kind of what I can totally get what you're saying, because I it's crazy how they bring it up in the game Hogwarts Legacy. They bring up that breed of people, and one of the people, your partners in the game that you are with, she happens to be one of them. But it's crazy because
Thanks for spoiling it for me.
I totally get what you. Yeah,
No, I'm joking. I'm playing. You're fine.
Yo, I was like, oh man.
Is it the one girl from the one girl that you like hang out a lot with? What's her name?
Yeah, Nati.
Nati. She's one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Once you do your side quest. Sorry, spoiler.
No,
Everyone.
you're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they could have almost done it better by like having them scattered more instead of like you really never see that much like it ever again that much. You know what I mean? Like you get like little tributes to it, but you never really see anyone like that. Like in a centaur doesn't count. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's the thing. There was no reference to it in the first two movies, so it just
no
felt
reference,
so
and then nothing
weird.
after it. It just got dished into that one. That was it.
Yeah, so that kind of threw me off. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. And like you said, that was the film. The film was focused on those beasts. When I wanted to focus more on like the, there was another big storyline, another big plot line in that film, Prisoner of Azkaban. Oh yeah, the Sirius Black stuff. That's what I want to know. I don't want to know. I don't care about this weird beast, which I know it's hiding.
Is this the one where Hagrid became the beast teacher? Was that?
Yes, and Buckbeak. Buckbeak.
Yes, and Buckbeak.
I love that stuff.
Super fire. Yeah.
I was on board with that. And then remember he goes, or no, he doesn't. Does he go to the prison in this movie? No, that's when Umbridge comes in. That's another thing I hate in that movie. Freaking Order of Phoenix. Remember, she sends Hagrid to Prison of Azkaban. Remember?
Yeah.
That's so. Anyway, I just thought of that. That's another reason. That's one of those things I was telling you about. That
but then he was like,
hate that. Yeah, he really did the Donkey Kong clap. Yeah. But yeah. So like, just I like the stuff involving Hagrid and that and when the kids are hiding, you remember, and then those people come into Hagrid's home and they have the cloak on. Was that movie? I think so. I'm not sure. And then they run out the back, which was really cool. And then you see then you re-see it when they go back in time. So there's some cool elements to it, but
cool.
They needed to stop focusing on the beast stuff, which I know was connected with Sirius Black. I get that, but I just feel like you could have taken a totally different route with this. And the beast stuff just threw me off, dude.
The Dementors and stuff.
Right. It focused on the wrong things for me.
Because they had that cool Lumos scene, you know what I mean, where he came back in time. And
that's another thing. And I want to talk about this. And this is something I want to bring up. And I might be wrong about this, but I just watched the recaps today again to get ready for this. In part 2, Snape says that he went back and that he's the one that did that animal. But they said that Harry was the one that did that animal. So who did the animal? You see what I'm talking about? Dude, that's what I might be wrong about this, and I want all the Harry Potter fans to comment down below like why I'm thinking this, but they said that he did the Patronus, right? The Patronus animal. But then Harry's the one that went back in time because he thought it was his dad, but it was really Harry Potter just back in time that did it. So where was Snape? Like, how did Snape do the animal?
So Lily, his mom, Harry's mom, was the same Patronus animal that Snape used, and that ended up becoming his. I'm pretty sure this is what I was. Yeah, maybe that's why.
No,
like,
but
tribute.
No, right? But like how? But Harry's the one that does it because he does the Patronus, and you do. I forgot how the animal comes up. I think it's like if you channel like a really happy memory, then the animal will appear if you use enough power with the Patronus spell. So if Harry's the one that did it, Snape said that he did it in the last movie. So who did it?
They're kind of just maybe then Harry didn't and he thought he did, or then
that's what I thought.
I don't know. Saying?
So I might be wrong. Maybe I just heard it. I don't know. But all the Harry Potter fans, you guys let me know because I know there's diehard fans out there that know that. But when Snape is dying, or not when Snape is dying, but when Harry looks at Snape's memories in part 2, Deathly Hallows, he says that he's the one that did it, and Harry's surprised. So I'm like, who did it? I don't know. So that just kind of threw me off. I thought maybe Harry thought that he did it, but he didn't. But that's actually not true because Harry knows that he did it at the end when he went back in time and did it. So like,
what's going on?
Dude, what's going on? It just threw me off. Like I didn't know what was happening. So that's another thing is that just doesn't line up. And that was one negative that just came to me today when I was watching the recap because I was like, wait a second, I was like, how did that happen?
What's going on here?
Yeah, for real. So that's just those are my negatives for that Prison of Azkaban movie. A lot of it, like I said, kind of a recap. The tone change, they took a lot of the slack for that. And then Snape, I thought this whole Snape and the Patronus thing kind of threw me off. And the werewolf, teen wolf, freaking Vampire Diaries thing made no sense. And I didn't like that they focused on that. But yeah, that's why it's number 7 for me.
There you go.
So sorry. I apologize to all the Harry Potter fans out there that are screaming at me and probably you're not watching this video anymore.
It's totally fair, man.
Yeah.
I can't even argue with you. Yeah, I mean, I get, mine's placed differently, but I understand your points. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? They're definitely valid.
I know you're a big fan of that movie, so we'll get to that in a little
It's
bit.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But my next one I think is gonna shock you. I think, and it 5 and 6 definitely were the ones that were like really going back and forth. Man, my number 6, and I was talking very highly of it, and I still think very highly of it, is the Chamber of Secrets. And I think it
You told me
is.
it was number 1 last week, dog. Come on.
Dude, I know, and I just hadn't seen him in so long, and like
Yeah.
going back and like doing the recap, I just like this is the only problem. It goes back to the Sorcerer's Stone. It's just there are so many other movies where I feel like they're so much more important, which sounds weird to the first two, but I think like it's not even that they're bad. I would maybe like the highest I think it could go for me is 4. I could definitely put it at my 4 and be happy, but I only put it so low because the rest from here on out have moments in the movie that kind of like define Harry Potter with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the shitty thing about all these movies being so good is like I don't like that it's at 6.
I told
But
you you could
then
flip the list and you probably wouldn't care either. It's
I wouldn't
respectable.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And because just looking at all of them, like I'm watching these, so like I would watch 2 minute recaps or like 10 minute, 20 minute, 30 minute like long timeline videos. Like you just see the things that happen in different movies, and I think the coolest thing, the most nostalgic thing, and why I wanted to put it at 1 is I love just the Chamber of Secrets. Like the Chamber of Secrets is kind of what really like got me into Harry Potter, like the idea, and like when that movie came out, I kind of like started like getting interested in it, and I think it's a great movie, but it's still like like no Voldemort, which kind of sucks. Like you don't really see him all that much. The snake is super cool. The bullet, I don't want to say the name wrong. The Bullisic or what it
Bliss. I don't know.
yeah, I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to
Something like that.
trash
Just
the
the
name,
snake.
but
Just call it a snake.
yeah,
Yeah.
the snake, the snake. And no, like super cool
The
story,
slithery snake. Yeah.
and that's the problem, bro. It's such a good story too, but like I said, there's just movies that have other moments for me that are just stand out, and I feel like are more crucial. But at
So
the same time, I don't know.
Braid, usually I can like understand where you're coming from here. I just don't get this one, buddy. I don't usually. I'm there with you
I
on stuff,
understand.
and this is one that I understand what you're saying, but like that final battle I think is a top 2 final battle in all the films with the snake. I really do. And
It's
I think
super
because of
cool.
that it deserves a lot more than 7 in my opinion, but that's me.
It no, it's
You know
it's
how I
it's
feel
my
about it.
it's my sixth. It's my
Yeah. I
sixth.
get it.
It's not
I get it.
7.
I get it. Or
But
6, sorry, 6. So, yeah, yeah.
my top 4, I feel like are just so banged in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's why I said it could have maybe changed my 5. It could have even changed with 4, but
Wait, what's your 7 again? Oh,
Sorcerer's
Sorcerer's
Stone.
Stone. Yeah, yeah, okay, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, and like I said, it's not a bad movie. I think it's actually, and I put, and obviously Prisoner, as you can obviously tell, is still higher up. I honestly think Chambers is the best of the first 3 of like the childhood sequence for me personally, but I think Prisoner is a better overall movie. You know what I mean? That's why I did put it higher.
I get that.
But I like Chambers is more nostalgic for me, absolutely. And if I was doing more of a personal list, I would have probably put it higher.
Mhm.
But I kind of like do a little bit of like what I think like the people general opinion is and a little bit of mine too. So, but the things that made the movie, I loved the character relationships. It was perfect expansion off the first one, like the perfect development. Like nobody was overrushed. We got to see meet new characters. We were developing on old characters. Nothing felt out of place. It literally felt like the next year. I just feel like it was literally a perfect installment. And honestly, I do have to agree with you. It does suck that it is
Mhm.
this low. And maybe if like I had another day, it'd be different. And honestly, that's one of the ones that changed when I did last minute change. So I think it was a little bit. I think it was like maybe one higher a little bit earlier. I think it was at 5 instead. But
No, I understand. I get what you're saying. I just feel like thank you by the way for not bringing up the runtime on it because that's everybody's like big negative. They're like, oh, it's too
I,
long. The thing
It's so
is,
stupid.
the other movies after this would not be good without this character development that takes place in this film. I mean, what
In this
Harry
film,
goes
yeah.
through with finding more
The
about
third
how he's
movie
related
wouldn't
to
be as good
Voldemort.
without this movie.
That's what I'm saying. It's so crucial, and a lot of
Yeah.
people just don't see it, which is what really makes me mad. And I know you're someone who does. I'm not saying you, but people have it the last on their list, and I'm like, because of the runtime,
That's
that's it.
crazy.
Like, and like, oh, it's slow. No, it's character development, and that's what I'm a sucker for. So.
Hmm.
But no, I agree with everything you said, dude. I'm with you on it. I think the kid sequence at the beginning is the best with the flying car and everything.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
with you.
so
It is really
cool.
cool, dude. And they break down the bars and stuff. It's
I'm just
oh,
letting y'all know. Maybe I would put this higher. I don't know.
hey,
I don't know.
by
I
the way,
love this movie.
you're missing a character. What's his name? At the beginning of the film, starts with a D.
Oh, dude, yes, the introduction of God's creation,
Yes.
literal God Himself.
Yes,
Gummy,
sir. Dobby the house elf.
Gummy, Gummy the house
Dude,
though. Yeah,
it,
man. Oh,
I
dude,
freaking love Dobby,
maybe would
dude.
be higher,
And
but
that's why it's that Dobby alone is what made this movie really high up for me.
hmm.
So, just
Damn.
classic stuff. And then
Well,
I'll get
okay.
into some more stuff later on. When I rank it.
You'll see on my next one. It involves Dobby a lot, but you'll see why. I feel like Dobby's moments were just a little bit better.
Wait,
Hey,
it's
yo, just
that? Oh my God, Braden, I hate you. All right, let's go to this. Let's go to number 6 for me. Number 6, I have Half Blood Prince. Um,
wow.
I know you like that movie, and
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you why it falls short. So
Mhm.
I now once again, you literally flip this list. I don't care, like whatever.
Yeah.
I love this film. Like this is where I start loving these films so much that like when I was ranking this, it literally took me an hour to rank them. Like I was sitting there and I was like, I like this one, but this had great moments. I
Yeah.
I've ranked so many franchises. By the way, it's Logan on YouTube. Go check it out. I do a lot of rankings.
Go check it out.
This is the hardest rank I've ever done. The hardest ranking.
Hmm.
Everything
For
from movies to
sure.
TV shows. It's actually unreal. The reason. Let me just talk about the good things I like about Prince. Half Blood Prince. I love the Draco stuff. With Draco going on that mission for Voldemort, you know what I mean? That really mysterious thing. That's when Draco really started going from just this like weird like bully kid, like the typical bully guy, to really getting deep into like this weird Voldemort circle, but with
Yeah.
the Death Eaters. And I was like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Finally, they're doing something with this Draco character because someone pointed out the other day, out of all 8 movies, Draco was only in it for like 25 minutes. 25 minutes of screen time. He's barely in it. And this was a film that really upped it from like 10 minutes of screen time to like, 18 or 20. And he did a really, really good job in this film because I was so intrigued in Draco's character and I wanted more of it. And that's exactly what this film was, and it brought it to us. And I love that mysterious
Yeah.
vibe with Draco, and it was so super, super cool and a really good ending with his character, which we'll get to in a second. Um, Another thing I love, this is a rom com, or more of a romance more of a romance drama.
Okay.
I love the romance stuff in this with
Yeah.
Hermione starting to come back around to my boy Ron. Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Yeah, they definitely try, and that comes up a lot more, the jealousy factor
Dude,
between the two.
I'm a sucker for rom coms and romance movies. I got a little soft spot for those, and because I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. That's all his movies are. This movie has that romance effect, which is why it went up on this list for me. It doesn't have the romance effect. Prisoner probably beats it for me.
Mhm.
But I do really like that. I think it adds something to it. And then you have I think Harry and Ginny stuff as well. That's when that kind of starts happening.
Yes.
Ron's sister.
Yes.
So it was really cool, dude. I loved it, and I love Ron starting. Because Ron throughout the movie actually breaks Hermione's heart. In Goblet of Fire, it was Hermione breaking Ron's heart. So
Mhm.
it's kind of it's a really drawn out sequence with their love story. But I love it, and obviously toward the end they really start to see each other for what they truly are and understand their
Yeah.
feelings. I love the romance aspect to it, and this is why, to be honest, dude, I'll probably rewatch the Half Blood Prince more than most of these other films above it.
Yeah.
It's just some of these other ones had better moments, but this is one of the most rewatchable movies specifically for
I
that reason.
I definitely have it higher.
Hmm.
I love this
Probably for the
film.
rewatch factor, right? Yeah.
A lot of people shit on it, but like to me, this was like the first real film, and this is gonna sound so weird, but like felt like the first time they really truly lost, which makes which might you might be sitting there, you're like, Brad, what the hell do you mean? Like, there's definitely times Harry got his ass kicked, like he
Hmm.
lost, like even in the movie prior, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like Goblet, or even in I'm trying to think where he first meets Voldemort in the graveyard for the first time.
That's
But
Goblet. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, exactly. Like in Goblet, like you could look there and be like, yeah, they lost, but at least they're still kind of like this was the first movie where people like there was no doubt Voldemort's here. Like he is here.
I am
I am
here.
here. I am here. And I yeah, that was it just felt like how Infinity War felt for me. Like you watched at the end and like just the whole sequence with Draco, like you're like, is he gonna do it? And then he doesn't, you're like Snape, this one guy that you've always hated, but like you like the movies have wanted you to like him just ends, the greatest wizard's life when you're sitting there like, wow, like they've lost. Like there's nothing this man can do right now. So, and once I get to it, I'll go delve on it a little bit more. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I know a lot of people have it pretty low. So
And here's the big negative, and you're gonna agree with this. I already know you're gonna see this from my point of view, because it's a very technical thing. Snape has barely had any screen time since the Chamber of Secrets leading up to this film, and then they make him the main guy. To the point, not even the main guy, they make a big mystery about Snape's, because you don't know
that's
it's
why I
Snape.
was like,
You don't know the you don't know the Half-Blood Prince is Snape until the end.
mm-hmm.
But there's no like build up to it. The reveal is really anticlimactic for me because it's like I expected a character that
Don't
like
use my own spell on me.
I expected like a character that we truly know. Snape is one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise, especially with the part 2 of Deathly Hallows. But even before then, I love Snape as a character.
Me too.
So why are you going to make him the big reveal when we barely know anything about him and there's no build up to it? Like, that's what threw me off. I was like...
And that's where, like, totally... You make a great point. I didn't mean to cut you off, but,
no,
like,
you're fine.
Once the series is complete, going back and looking at that movie, I feel like it all makes so much more sense. But when you're first watching it for the first time, you're like, what the hell? But then, like, after you see, I feel like part 1, part 2, and, like, the memories and stuff, things get a little bit more answered, but I still get what you mean. Like, they don't introduce his character enough.
I didn't even mind when he killed Dumbledore. Like, that's all fine, whatever. Like, I understood. Yeah. Like, I knew deep down, dude, I knew deep down that he was a good guy. Even throughout part 2 and stuff. Like, I knew that he was eventually going to be good. Because you could just tell by the little things. It was weird. I knew something.
They really pushed for you to like this
yeah,
guy,
so I was like, they're
bad shit.
Yeah, I was like, and then when he said, don't worry, Harry, or whatever, before he went and killed Dumbledore, or I got this, or don't worry, I was like, okay, he's obviously the good dude here. But it still kind of threw me off when he killed him. I was like, that has to be some kind of explanation. Then, of course,
who are you lying to? Which side we on?
Exactly. But my point is it was more of the Half-Blood Prince stuff. It's like you make that the whole movie, and then it was so sudden. Like,
yeah, that's a great point.
We care about the Dumbledore thing. He just died. Dumbledore just died, and you're gonna go to this Half-Blood Prince thing, which I was probably most interested in this movie. Like I said, other than like the romance stuff, but I was really into this like Half-Blood Prince mystery, and then it's just like you just kind of reveal it and it's like, oh, like, yeah. I don't know. And I think if it was a character that we knew really well, and maybe that's what they should have done with Half-Blood Prince is after, in Order of Phoenix. Take away the Umbridge stuff. I don't care. Make it more about Snape.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. Dude, oh my, could you imagine? Brayden, could you imagine?
Dude,
could you imagine?
Dog. That might have made the series so much better.
Dude, if they made that Order of Phoenix, this movie would probably be number 2 for me. Easy.
That's crazy.
But it's not, because they don't focus on this character. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and she's really into the books and stuff. And she told me, she was like, she brought that up. And I didn't really like understand it at first, because when you watch a movie and you're trying to grasp your ideas, but you don't know like what you're thinking. She laid it out, and she was like, she's like, they just focused on a character that we didn't know. And I was like, you're right. That's exactly what it didn't make sense. And that's exactly what I was feeling, and I figured it out. So make Order of Phoenix about Snape, or at least maybe a little bit. Just add a little bit more in there. He's barely in Order of Phoenix. He's in the Order, obviously, of Phoenix. He's in the little group. But he's still barely involved in it. I mean, we see more Sirius Black than him, and Sirius Black has a crappy death in the end with no build-up. So, like, it's so, you know what I mean? Like, it's random. I didn't like that at all. So add Snape in Order of Phoenix. It doesn't have to be the main character. You can even keep Umbridge in it. Just add Snape in there. That'll make Half-Blood Prince and that reveal 10 times better. And I did feel like I did feel like it was Snape. By the way, when they when they had the book, Harry had the book and it told him all the spells and stuff. I was like, who's good with spells? Snape. So like I had an
finally got
idea.
his dream job.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. So like I knew it was probably going to be Snape, but just they should have had a better reveal. It was so weird. It was more of an
I
afterthought.
can
There you go.
respect
It was
that.
an afterthought, and that's why if you have a movie named after that afterthought, it takes you out of it. So there we go. That's kind of
I get
my
what you're
feelings on it.
saying. I totally get what you're saying.
But the reason it's above, like I said, the reason it's above Prisoner and even Order of Phoenix is mainly because of the romance stuff and the Draco stuff. You take out the romance stuff
I feel
and
like
the Draco
character
stuff,
development was super top in this one. Like, there's a lot of like,
except for Snape. You
yeah, yeah,
barely
yeah,
see
yeah,
him.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I do agree with Harry, Ron, and Hermione. It's some of the best character
That's
development
why they
since the
shoved him in
second
the
film.
last two, because they're like,
Yeah,
we were like, we haven't shown enough. We just did all this Half Blood. Now let's actually make him a main character
right.
after everybody's wanted it.
Yeah, yeah. So I wasn't a fan of that at all. The potential is what kind of ruined me. So yeah, that's my number 6, man. Half Blood Prince.
I can't blame you. You know what I mean? It
Okay.
is what it is.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
This one, man, you probably already had a good idea of it. And I think, ah, man, people are gonna hate me. People are gonna hate me. I think my list is
Really?
super interesting. Like, people are either sitting here and they're like, "Wow, this guy's like really off," or he's like really on, or you know what I mean?
People are gonna hate this one. I don't
I
think
don't know,
so, dude.
maybe
You've had more. I think the first two that low are controversial.
we're more controversy. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah,
Order of
number
Phoenix too.
5.
People love Order of Phoenix for some reason. But go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. That's the big one. Number 5 for me is it Deathly Hollows Part 1,
That's not
and
controversial.
yeah, I feel like it's a good movie. I really like the movie, and the only reason it's not higher is because like 3 and 4, I just have like some real preference with. Like, I really like these movies. I don't know why. They're just super cool, even though most people fucking hate them. I love them. Like, they're so cool to me. Like,
Yeah.
and they have some of the best characters, some of the best moments. Yada yada yada. Not talking about number 5. Number 5. So Deadly Hollows. I think the only problem with part 1 is it's like, and this is what I explained to Logan. Whereas I feel like Infinity War triumphs Endgame a little bit, I feel like they did this right with Deathly Hallows Part 2 being better, only because like that's like the wrap up of the story. This first movie was supposed to be like a tad bit slower, but it's still not slow. And it has a lot of awesome scenes. Like, I love the wedding scene. It is one of the coolest fight scenes in all of Harry Potter for me. Just because we all go like, everyone's like, we're safe. Thank God. You just watch everyone's guard relax, and then like, yo,
So
Ron's brother's getting
yeah.
trash. You know what I'm saying?
So I just want to say this. Part one's my number 5 too. I should have said that right when you said it. It's my number
What?
5, which is weird because
No way.
dude, this movie, I loved it so much, and the fact that it's not in the top 3 really hurts me.
That's how
And
I feel. Chambers.
yeah, it really, really hurts me actually. Because I agree. So now we can kind of talk together now, but
Yeah,
I'll
let's
I'll
talk.
just keep
Yeah,
going. I just need to throw it out
I should
there
have said that.
because I thought you were on 6 for some reason, but you're on 5. Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, but I think it's super awesome, and obviously, like, I think the most heartbreaking moment is at the end, bro. My boy,
Oh,
my day oneer. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Probably like top 3 saddest Harry Potter death scenes.
Dobby is happy he's with his friend.
I could even argue number 1, but I can see why people wouldn't. So, but it's just so like, why him?
Oh, it's number
Like,
1.
why, bro?
It's number 1 for me. That dude, that hurt me so.
Absolutely.
I didn't cry. I teared. I didn't cry though. But it was definitely like a really, really heartbreaking moment. The saddest, I would say, definitely the
He
saddest
just
death
saved
in
the
Harry
band
Potter.
of freaking misfits, man.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was the weirdest crew together,
what
to be
really
honest.
it was really strange.
At the end there,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was like, you got the freaking the little elf dude, and then you have it was strange, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, that death hurt me, and especially his line when he was like, "Dobby is happy he's with his friend." I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, dude!" And he slowly went to sleep with them. Oh man, that death really hurt me too, bud. And
The
that was
other
definitely
elf is a
one
little
that
prick,
I
bro.
yeah. Oh, whoop whoop whoop. Yep, didn't like that.
He's a
Didn't
little
like
jerk.
that. Yeah,
But
that was rough.
yeah, I mean, besides that, like, I can understand some people, and I feel like this is the only one where I like people like really talk about the runtime as well. It doesn't feel like a long movie to me, or like
No.
not longer than the others. You know what I mean? So I don't know why I always hear that associated with this one. And like I said, like it's just perfect for where it's at in the story. It wasn't supposed to be the wrap up, and like you were saying, I know one of your best points, and I agree, is like has one of the best cinematic. Like, yeah, dude,
My boy, let
it's
me
so good.
intervene. So
Let the boy
listen, let me
intervene.
intervene. So the first half of the movie, I think, is rough when they're trying to find the Horcrux, the little necklace thing that they thought that they had in the was that in the Half Blood Prince one where him and
Oh,
Dumbledore
the
go out?
amulet
Yeah, the little necklace thing. Yeah.
and
Um,
RAV had it.
and they got
Yeah.
to get it from freaking Umbridge, dude. She's back. Jesus.
Oh
So they
my
have to
god,
go
yo, that the only thing that like really taints the movie, bro. When
and
she came back, I was like,
dog
why?
and the whole
Anybody else?
and almost the whole first half of the film, the first like 40 minutes is revolved around her and getting that
Bro,
Horcrux
why do we
and
have more movie
uh
time around Umbridge than we do Snape?
yeah.
Please explain.
Yeah, I didn't like that at
And
all.
Draco, explain.
It was terrible. But after that, dude, here I'm gonna look up this director's name. He directed The Order of Phoenix, and then Onward. Let me look up this guy's name real quick, man. 1 second. I know what it is. It's right here.
Take your time,
David
take your
Yates,
time.
bro. David
David
Yates,
Yates.
you are a genius in the fact that this guy has, by the way, hasn't done many other films. Has not
You're
done
a
many other films.
genius.
Dude, listen, the second half of this film, especially when Harry and Hermione go to where Harry was born and his parents were killed, that little village, and it's Christmassy, it's Christmas Eve, dude, Brayden, that was some of the best cinematography and atmosphere I've ever seen, period. And I know it's a
Mm-hmm.
big statement coming from like a big acting and movie nerd, but it's true. I mean, like just the vibes, like it's everything I want. Listen, man, I'm a sucker for characters that are hopeless and in terrible times and when they're depressed. I don't know why, I love it. And
Mm-hmm.
and the handheld shots that David Yates incorporated, it added just so much to it, and you really just felt the hopelessness and the depressed state that these characters were in with that
Absolutely.
atmosphere. And dude, you know me, Braden. I say this all the time on here as well. I'm a big atmosphere, mood, and tone guy.
And
You
it did so
feel
well.
you feel the hopelessness of your characters in this. You feel for them. You feel lost, especially
Probably
when
the
Ron
best
leaves.
for that category. It probably does the best in all of like the atmosphering and
You know,
making you feel for your
you know what
characters.
it's very similar to? The beginning of Endgame, where everybody like half of life is gone and everybody's
Yeah,
just
it's
kind
like
of
the
going through
first
the
5 years, everyone's depressed as shit.
dude, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and that's what it felt like, and I love that vibe, which is why I thought the first half of Endgame was one of the best parts of that movie. It's kind of the opposite with
100%.
this one. But I did from that point on, the vibe was unreal. I loved it. It was gritty, depressing, just a nasty film, and I
Yeah.
loved it. And this is where this movie doesn't even feel like. I feel like the one thing this movie was missing, Braden, is Hogwarts. I feel like they should have instead of put
That is very
and
true because they skipped their senior year, you
that's what I'm
know?
saying. So take away Umbridge and put in Hogwarts for the first 20 minutes. And I understand that Horcrux is really, or I'm probably saying that wrong. Is it Horcrux or
Horcrux, yeah.
Horcrux, whatever. I know that's
Because
very
they,
important. So instead of making it
yeah.
40 minutes of them trying to do the poly was it the poly that potion where they turn into the other people,
Yes.
the poly
And they
whatever.
went and stole it from,
Yeah,
yeah, and they went,
instead of doing that, cut that in half and then go 20 minutes in Hogwarts just to give it a little bit. And then this movie would probably be number one on my list. I'm not even
And
joking.
that's the thing. I feel like you make a great point because it almost helped, like, because Harry is getting snuck back into Hogwarts at the
Mhm.
very beginning of the second part, and I feel like that could have almost like the whole sneaking back in could have been more important had he like secretly returned. You know what I mean? And maybe not even for long, but I get where you're like been on Hogwarts kind of for maybe whatever it is, this reason or that. But I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, just give us something. And we obviously, but we do get that in part two. So it's like,
Yeah.
do you watch this movie as one? Do you watch these two movies as one movie? I feel like no. I feel like you have to. Obviously, you can. I'm just saying you have to judge them as their own films. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's with every part one and part two film out there. A big one that I love is Halloween Part One and Part Two. The original and then the 1982 or 1981 remake, or not remake, but the sequel to it. It's pretty much the same film. It's just one continuous night, which is pretty much what this Deathly Hallows is. But dude, I think this is the best acting out of the franchise, the best visuals, and the best tone and atmosphere. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's just the characters camping for 2 hours." No, it's not. It's so much more
No,
than
it's
that.
not.
And then
Yeah, it's
another,
bullshit.
dude, I know. And then another big moment that people hate in this movie is when Harry and
Oh,
Hermione dance.
I was
And
gonna say where Ron's being a yo. I love that where Ron's a dick, and then they
yeah,
have their like, why do you have to overdo it, man? Like that was a nice scene again with the two people who have been with each other for like the last 10, 15 years of their lives, and then you have to go make it something like they
like
just
it's
took off
sexual,
literally negative charm,
dude.
bro. Like they're probably happy
My
as
God,
shit.
that's what I'm saying. What that moment was, it was our characters that are hopeless trying to find times of happiness and hope.
Yeah.
And that's all that is, dude. They were trying to find happiness out of a time of hopelessness. And
Hmm.
they're doing it as friends. There was nothing like relationship based there. But the fan base freaks out and want to ship everybody when people that
Yeah.
they want to ship people that don't need to be shipped. It's Ginny, Harry, Ron, Hermione. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
But they don't. They want to ship every character that has a scene like that and a connection. You know what I mean? It's like they're just friends. It's a love, but it's a friend love. You know what I mean? And people
Yeah.
got to understand that. So when people bring up that dancing scene, it pisses me off because it's like, dude, just stop. Take a step back. Watch that scene. It's not what you think. And looking at it through the lens of them wanting a relationship with each other just makes that scene terrible. Actually, it ruins the entire vibe of what that film was
Yeah, that
supposed to
deep
be.
into the story. Because you
Yeah,
know me,
dude.
like I actually kind of like the idea of Hermione and Harry,
Yeah,
but that deep, like it was kind of stupid. Like, why are you thinking they're in the last fucking movie that they're like
yeah.
now starting romantic? Just didn't make sense.
Right. And then of course you have the really good scene where Harry dives into the frozen lake,
The frozen
remember?
lake and then
And then
the
Ron saves him.
necklace is pulling him. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Just I mean that whole I just everything about this film, this right here, people like you said earlier, the runtime is what gets a lot of people. It's not really the runtime; it's just because it's slow, and people like always, because it's
yeah.
a character driven movie. It's building up to part two, and even though I have part two above this, this is a film that I think is a better made movie when it comes to character development, atmosphere,
Yeah,
tone. Just part two had a lot more bigger movies, a lot more bigger moments, and
bigger movies.
bigger movies, a lot more bigger moments, and a lot of fun deaths and stuff like that. But overall, just love this film. Like I said, the best cinematography, the best visuals, the best acting, the best atmosphere out of any Harry Potter movie, and some of the best that I've ever seen in any movie from that Christmas Eve sequence onward.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, I
Yeah.
was freaking out watching it. I was like, oh my god, like it was turned on. Bro, it turned me on. Like I was like, this is great. So yeah, it was great. It was good stuff, and yeah, it's a film that I just like I said, man, from a technical point, it was beautiful. It was
Dude,
gorgeous.
I think there's a 50-50. We have the same four. There's like I have a good feeling in
We
my
do have this.
heart.
We 100% have the same 100%.
The number you saying number four?
Yeah. Do you me to go first or?
I was gonna. I don't care. I don't care because it might be different. I don't
We do
know.
not care.
We do not care.
Yeah, I'll go first. It's gonna be Goblet of Fire.
It's Goblet of Fire. I love
Okay,
you,
let's
dude.
go,
You
baby. Yes,
literally,
sir. Yes, sir.
you.
This
We've
is
had
great,
three
dude.
this list
So
that
this
we
is
agreed on.
we're
That's
throwing this on the
awesome.
compilation. Yeah, no, this is great.
There you go.
Yeah, Goblet of Fire, dude. This is
Why is it
one hell of a
shitted on
movie,
so
dude. I don't
much?
know, bro. I don't
Pardon
get
my
it.
language over the cats,
What's
everybody that's
the
watching, but man, I don't understand. I get really passionate about these movies, and
do you know any of the criticism it gets? Because I didn't really look into the criticism, to be honest.
you know what's super fun? Oh, you want to know?
Yeah.
It's the one movie that went so far from the book.
Oh.
So
Okay.
that's why you and me sit here and we really like it because as you said earlier, they take risks different
Yeah.
from the actual story. But
Yeah.
that this is the first movie where they went like very far off
Okay.
course. You know
Well,
what I
that's what's
mean?
funny. Part one and part two, or the first two movies, Chamber and Sorcerer's Stone. Those two movies were literally scene for scene with the book, which is why they were so long.
Yeah.
Especially Chamber of Secrets, and then Prisoner of Azkaban kept the majority of the same stuff, but it kind of went off
Switch
and
a
did their
little
own
bit.
things. And then this one was just like, all right, we're going, baby.
And it was complete yes, and that's
Yeah,
why and that's like the only negative thing when I was looking because I even went on like Reddit. I wanted to see people's opinions. Like I was
it's a,
like,
it's, it's a very
what do
divisive
people think?
movie within the fan base.
Exactly. It's either really high or really low, and I
Mm,
think it goes back to people who've read the books. And the people who have read the books, you're like, it's nothing like the books.
yeah.
But I don't look at that as a movie. I love the Triwizard Tournament. I love Cedric Diggory. I
Mm,
love that clash
yeah.
with Voldemort. Like that's the first. He's like, yo, 1v1 me. And then Harry's like, bro, my balls haven't even dropped. Chill
Yeah.
out,
No,
bro.
dude, it's really really good.
And
Like you
when he
said,
was like,
I
no, it can only be three.
dude,
Only seniors.
the fact that Robert Pattinson was in this shocked me. I didn't look up the cast or
Yeah,
anything
man.
before, and I was just sitting there and I was
I'm pretty
like,
sure it's what got him Twilight. I'm pretty sure from what I
yeah, because this
remember.
came out in like 2007 or 2008. Um, it was great. I loved it, and he did such a good job with his character too. By the way, he was one of my favorites. And when of course he meets his demise in the end, it makes it great, dude. And it's a really good death, and it's definitely probably my second saddest death, I would say, right behind Dobby the house elf.
Ooh, I
Um,
don't know. That's hard, but
and
I think it could be.
it's tough. I'm sure you're probably thinking of like Snape and all them, but that's probably my second. And yeah, just a really interesting character. Love what they did there. The one thing that really gets me, I would say a negative for me, is the fact that Hermione is doing my boy Ron dirty.
Dirty
Um,
dog, you're right.
and
Because
that
it's
dude
that
also was
typical
like
like, of course
35.
that's the guy. Yeah, it's like of course that's the guy you're gonna chase
Did you
after.
feel that way too? The dude's like 38, and she's
Is
like
he really?
12. Not really. I'm just saying like the size difference. Like
Yeah,
he
no,
looked like a
okay.
D1 player for like
Because he's like a
Alabama,
senior and she's still like
like
her
in middle
third,
school.
fourth year. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. It felt very strange. But
Hmm.
whatever. It was just like 2006.
Yeah.
But yeah. So whatever. I just it made me really mad. Ron obviously doesn't have any game, and then him and Harry go with the twins. Remember?
Yo, yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
great. And they're like just sitting there, and they're
Because
just
he
staring.
was still trying to get with
Cho, right? Or is it Cho?
Cho.
Cho, I
I,
think.
I
That's
didn't
not
know.
a
I was
name.
like, is it
I
Cho
don't
or
know.
Chow?
I think it's Chow. It's one of those. CHO. I don't know how you say it. I
Yeah.
think it's Cho. I don't know. But I actually was like really shipping them. I was like, this is great. I love that character of Cho, and I was like, this is really cool. And Harry just asked her out too late, and she got with Robert Pattinson, Batman. And
Yeah.
you have freaking Hermione getting with the famous guy, the Quidditch star. So it was just
Is
weird.
this the Oh wait, no, that is
Oh, Hagrid
Griff.
pulling like the 8'10" girl. Remember Hagrid with the really tall lady? My
Yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I was proud. I was like a proud
My
dad.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do people have to complain about that movie? It was sincerely a really good
It was
movie.
super exciting too, right from the get go. Remember they went to the Quidditch championship, remember? And they were all
Yeah.
like playing. It was like this big gathering, and then I think
Like
the Death Eaters took over. Which, by the
Death Eaters,
way,
yeah.
what was it? You told me something about the Death Eaters last week when we were hanging out, and I forgot when it was though. A couple weeks ago, maybe it was when we saw Ant-Man. I'm not
Because
sure,
we had
but you
yeah.
mentioned Death Eaters, and I was like, oh, I haven't been introduced to them yet. And then literally the day after, I watched this one, and I was like, oh, there's the Death
Because I
Eaters
got
in the
them
first 5
confused with the
minutes.
Dementors
Yeah, yeah.
for a second.
But no, that was really cool, and it brought me in right away. And then I loved it. Was so exciting. There's never a dull moment. Like this is the total opposite of what part one is. This is not it. There's character development, but this is not like a full story driven movie like part one is. This is an exciting, almost a popcorn movie in a way,
Yeah.
where there's no lack of entertainment. It's constant,
It
just
took
boom, boom,
what
boom, boom, boom.
Azkaban gave it, and that's why I don't get what people don't like about it. I feel like it makes perfect sense for the movie story. Like,
Yeah.
of course, maybe if you're gonna sit there and compare it to the books, it's gonna be different. But like for what the movie was going for, it landed. In my opinion,
It
it
did.
landed.
Well, another thing too, like I was saying earlier, is it's a darker tone, but Prisoner was that buffer. You know what I mean? Where I knew
Yeah.
what to expect now, and then I went to this one, which by the way I heard a lot of crap about it. Once again, expectations, and I was like, how is this low?
Yeah, where did
How
you
was
see that?
Prisoners better than this? Or Prisoner of Azkaban. So yeah, Goblets number 4 for me. It's just a really fun film. Let me see. I put some notes down. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. The fake Professor Moody. Remember, it's the fake guy.
That was a really cool part
That
of the
was a
story.
really cool
Because
story.
it wasn't oversaturated at that
No.
point. They hadn't done it 50 times yet.
Right, and he was the dark art defense against the dark arts teacher again, which I was like, whatever. At that point, it wasn't really like too
Because then
overly
you knew
done.
like there's no way that they're
Yeah.
doing that again.
I know, but then like I said with Order of Phoenix, they just took it. I was like, all right, I'm tired of this now.
Yeah.
Even though Professor Moody technically is a good dude, it was just somebody that took over with the poly thing potion or whatever.
Yeah.
It was still kind of like, all right, he's still technically the bad guy.
Mhm.
but yeah, just that I like that mystery. That was really cool. And then seeing that it was a person. It was that one guy. Remember that they mentioned a lot throughout the film. The one dude in the
Um,
trial. What's his
the
name?
yeah, the villain at the end.
Yeah, I forgot his name, dude. But I forgot exactly what his storyline was, but I loved it, and I was really
Yeah,
intrigued with that, and I like that they tied that in really well. Um, and yeah, and once again, the twist with that character was a character that they were building up throughout the movie. It wasn't like a brand new character; they were building it. It was a brand new character in that movie, but it wasn't a brand new character when they revealed it. If that makes sense, like there was a build up to
yeah,
that reveal with that character, and like what they did with Snape in the Half Blood Prince, which is where they didn't build up with anything with that character, and they just revealed him as being the Half Blood Prince. So
yeah. Not even innuendos. Like you don't really know until he just admits it, and you're like, what the fuck?
in the most random moment, he literally turns to Harry in the just the gist of all the stuff going on. He's like, "I'm the Half Blood Prince." It's like, what? Like I don't know. That whole
He
segment's
literally
weird, but
tried to use his move, turns around, just bitches him back. He
bro's
hits the
like
floor. He's
Batman.
like,
Yeah.
"You tried to use my own move against me? I'm the Half Blood Prince." And I was,
it,
Harry's
I
sitting there
was,
like,
it was weird. Yeah. But no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Goblet. But sorry about that. We went off
yeah,
on a little tangent there. But yeah, it's
a
like
little tangent.
they did a better job with that than Half Blood Prince. So that's why it's high up on my list. And it hurts that it's not in the top two, or the top three. But now you guys know what my top three is if you've done the process of elimination. And
I do. I know.
you're
Yeah.
probably like, when in the world are these movies gonna be said? Because this is kind of ridiculous. I know, guys. I'll explain. I promise. So
Yeah. That's it for me too. I
okay,
love that
cool.
movie. I don't know why it gets so hated
I,
on.
I, yeah. Now we'll just go to number three.
Very
I'll
eventful
let
movie.
you. Yeah, very. What's I'm saying? There was never a dull moment. Like, how do
Yeah.
you? I don't know. Like I said, I think it's because it was so far away from the books, like you stated. But whatever. I really enjoyed it. So I'll let you go with your third movie.
My number three. We've talked about this a lot, and this is just a personal thing. You know, a lot of moments I really love, but it's the Half Blood Prince. Um,
Perfect segue. There you go.
Yeah, and for me, it did so good. You know what I mean? For everything that it was going for, and like I said, that's what I was trying to say earlier. I felt like it was the first time we really saw our main group really lose, and it created that atmosphere and the tone leading into Deathly Hollows Part One, especially with the ending. And I just think it's a lot like you said. Like they really build on like Draco, but you never see like Harry falter as a hero. He ends up saving him at the end, and even after all of that, Draco, like that's one thing, like you were saying, Draco's character is just so interesting in that movie because he's fighting between his emotions and his family. Like, you know what I mean? He's put in this position, but he doesn't want to be there. And then you have Harry, who kind of feels not helpless, but he kind of has to watch this whole final ending scene unravel. And then we find out Snape, boom, does his thing. We see the memories, and it's that ending. It's really the last act of that movie that really pushes it for me. Because at the beginning, it's super cool. And from my knowledge, they're already looking for they're pretty far into their Horcrux journey at that point, right?
Well, yeah. At the end, when they say they're really gonna start looking for the Horcruxes, like
Exactly.
that's when it really
And
sets up. Yeah.
so it sets it. That's what I liked about it. It really set up the whole Horcrux journey, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's really sets up the Deathly Hollows, I think, very perfectly. And I don't really know how much closely to the books it is. I've heard it's pretty similar. I
Well,
think.
here's the thing about the sixth movie, or not sixth movie, but the Half Blood Prince, if that is the sixth movie. Here's what's so
Yeah.
good about or the book at least, is there's more Snape backstory, I believe, from what I've
Mm,
heard. I might be wrong about that. That might be in Deathly Hollows, but I think it's this one. It needed that, and that's the one thing I didn't like. But I might have got that mixed up with Deathly Hollows. But if they did make a lot of backstory to the Half Blood Prince book with Snape, then yeah, big props to the book, and big fault on the movie for not going for that.
yeah. Totally just realized I was talking about Snape's memories, but that comes in the other film
Yeah.
after. Yeah, it totally hit me. I was like, wait, you sound so stupid. No, but and yeah, a lot of people don't have it very highly. That's why I was saying like my three and four I thought were not controversial, but I think it's like some people are like really in agreement, and some people are like I don't get what that is. But as you had it lower earlier, I think it's a really awesome movie, and I think it all has to do with that tone that it creates. It's that perfect. It was a perfect setup for me going into Deathly Hallows Part One. And I feel like it has that same atmosphere and tone, but the action from part two of Deathly Hallows. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
But And where I agree with you, the worst part about the movie is you don't see enough from Snape. You really just don't. And then kind of being ill knowledged, you're following Draco and how he's been kind of like chosen by Voldemort to do this task and take out Dumbledore. And you're following Harry trying to like kind of control it. And like he tries to play hero, and then at the end, Dumbledore's about to get taken down, and like everyone's pressuring him. Snape comes out and does it. It's just kind of like you sit there and you're like, what was this movie about? You know what I mean? Like not in a bad way, but like you do
It's
all
all
of
over the
this.
place. Yeah.
It is all over the place. And you know what I mean?
But it gets better after you watch Deathly Hallows. But that's my problem is it relies on Deathly Hallows when really this
And
movie's not a good movie by itself. In that it's a like I said, I think it's a great movie because of the romance stuff. But story wise, it's too much. It's too all over the place. And if you watch this in order and then you're at Half Blood Prince, it's like sure you remember what happened in Deathly Hallows 2, but you're also like man, this movie by itself. It's rough. It's just a big
when you're
setup.
first seeing it, and that's the thing, it's like you're seeing it and it's like that was just that was a pile of shit. Like you, not even like it was bad. Like that was a whole bunch of just shit coming from everywhere. And now that what creates that tone of like we've just lost. Like you sit there and it's like that's why I feel like it makes that tone because you get hit with so many bad things that happened in the movie. Like for our characters, not actually saying that they're bad,
Hmm.
but like saddening things and angering things that happened throughout the film to our characters you sit there and you're like, wow, like it's over, bro. Like, why did you have to do that much? A little
Yeah,
bit too much. You know what I mean?
I get
But
that.
I love the movie. I feel like a lot of the moments in that movie were super crucial for the series, and that movie itself, I feel like, is super crucial. I feel like how we said earlier, like if Order of the Phoenix was tweaked a little bit, they could have done much better with this movie. But I love it for what it is. I think it's pretty awesome, man. I
Yeah.
just think that final sequence of the act just really saves it. And I actually really like the way Harry and Snape. I actually like finding out that way that it was Snape. Kind of like it's very sudden, and I do wish they gave us a little bit more, but I like how sudden it is because you're like it creates such a confusion around Snape character, which is a
Sure.
pro and a con. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You can look at it, interpret it in a good light, but at the same time, it kind of sucks because now I'm interested to know more. And then we're already at the end of the series where I don't really have time for that.
Yeah.
So, but I love the movie. I think it's a pretty good one.
There you go. I get that, bro. I get that. Yeah, I think you're someone who appreciates that movie a lot, especially after watching Deathly Hallows, and I think
Mm-hmm.
you're really into that Snape character, and then knowing why he did what he did, which
I'm
I
a big guy. I
respect a
need to
lot.
know whys. You know
No,
what I mean?
I
I'm a
get that.
big.
Yeah,
I need
and
why
now that you know why, that movie means a lot to you, which
more.
like I said, dude, I love that film for what it is too. That's a movie that I love.
Mm,
I just enjoyed the other ones just a little bit more.
totally get
Um,
that.
yeah,
I'm
number
starting
three
to
for me.
three.
Yeah, it's Deathly Hallows Part Two.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
It's what I thought.
I, yeah.
I had a feeling.
So now you guys know number one and number two are literally the first two movies. Um, so yeah, part two, man, Deathly Hallows. And there's literally nothing negative to say. It's just one hell of a battle. Literally, dude.
I've heard it's too Hollywood, and I'm like, you're wild.
It's no,
When
it's
have you ever seen magic on screen?
now
Never.
movies can be too Hollywood. Like the third Conjuring movie for me was too
Yeah.
Hollywood in the sense that there was just too much going on. It wasn't grounded. But I thought
Hmm.
this movie was exactly what it was supposed to be, like Endgame. Just craziness. Everything coming to a
Exactly.
head.
That's
You've
what we
got
had built up for this
Harry.
whole time.
That's what I'm saying. You got Harry
Watching the
Potter,
Ministry fall.
the boy who lived, and Voldemort
That's kind of good.
coming together, bro. That's exactly what we've
Yeah,
been waiting
man.
for, and we finally got it. And yeah, I mean, just some of the best moments, some of the best visuals. You know, seeing Hogwarts again finally was a breath of fresh air. It was just so good seeing Hogwarts again. Like I
Hmm.
said, because that's one thing I wasn't big on in part two, part one. Which if part one did have Hogwarts, it would be at least a little bit more of Hogwarts. It would be number one for me. But this movie had Hogwarts, and I love that. And because of that, it's higher. And then you see Hogwarts just get torn apart, and there's so many moments in that movie where you think our characters are gonna lose. You really do think that our guys might actually lose this, and I love that so much, especially when Harry dies. And then he has the resurrection stone or whatever.
And it makes
And
so much sense on
yeah,
him being the last Horcrux, and
mhm.
how it
then Snape
happened.
telling him and everything like that. Yeah, and
So
that whole thing
cool.
was good. Snape's death was awesome.
His memories.
We'll expand on this some more when you, because I already know where part two is for you. But we'll expand on this for sure a little bit more. But yeah, Snape's death was great, and then the insight onto his character makes you want to rewatch the entire series again. And looking back
Yeah.
on the franchise, there is a lot of very subtle things that Snape does that Alan Rickman, who's incredible by the way, rest in peace,
Rest
does
in
that
peace, bro.
is very subtle because he was told by J.K. that that's what his character was going to be doing. This whole thing was him working with Dumbledore. You know what I mean? And he was actually
And
told
that's
that
so impressive as an actor. Like he was able to do such a good job at like
being subtle with
making
it.
it believable on screen and
Mm.
like yeah, you know what I mean, really being in that mindset of this is a strategic plan we've had for years
Right.
in the
And
making.
that's such a, I mean, that's just big props to JK as well for telling him that,
The
to
writing,
letting the actor, you know what I mean, do it.
yeah.
The fact that she told him that, I think, made his character so much more interesting. And especially toward the end, you really felt his character and you felt just terrible for him. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's someone who, loved Lily Potter, and really loved
It
Harry.
kind of makes you sit there and you're like, yo, Harry's dad is a
He,
little
he
jerk.
No, yeah, screw Harry's dad. It's wild. He's always the good guy and he's really the bad dude.
Little jerk.
And in
It's
a
like that's where
way,
Harry gets his sass from.
exactly, that's that
Where
part of
Harry
him.
gets his sass from.
Um, and yeah, just you feel so bad for Snape, dude. He loves Harry. He love. I'll go as far as to say he loves Harry.
Yeah, like a
Because
kid, like his own
that's his
son.
kid exactly.
I feel like
Um,
he takes on that Godfather role very seriously, and that's why he never tried to be so close with him.
well, and
Never
that's
make
the
like
point.
work and relationship type of thing, you
That's
know?
the exactly. So he, even when he's having that conversation with Dumbledore, after they, Harry was born and stuff, or after the whole thing happened with the Voldemort killing his parents, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Dumbledore told him, "Look, you're gonna have to let this kid live to die." And then he was like, and then Snape was like, "Wait, so you're telling me you're just gonna protect this kid to just because you want him to live a little longer before he dies? You want him to die at a specific time?" And Dumbledore's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we got to do." And I was thinking about that. I was like, "Dude, that's actually really messed up on Dumbledore's part." But then you think about it, it's like Harry himself would want to sacrifice it. He would 100% rather sacrifice himself to save the world. So then you're like, okay, you understand Dumbledore, and he knew that this kid would do that to save the world. And then that's what Snape realized. And that's why, like you said, he didn't want to get too close with him. He always wanted to be the enemy toward Harry, even if that meant that he, you know, had to do what he had to do. So, just
Yeah.
overall, just a really good character arc right there. And that whole story was beautiful. And, him saying, "You have your mother's eyes," not just the fact that he
Mm-hmm.
physically had his mother's eyes, but that he saw the world through the lens of his mother, in the sense of how caring and
Yeah.
lovable he was, and how brave and strong he was, which is what his mother was, which is why Snape, really cared for Harry so much, as he saw so much of his mom in Harry, not his dad. But then when he would make those little remarks, that's why Snape would always be like, "You're just like your father." You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
He's
it
a
was
little
cool.
sass from
Yeah,
dad.
exactly. So it was cool. But I really like that character arc and that whole moment. And Snape's death is brutal, especially with the snake coming up and chomping at him a few times. And
Yeah.
Voldemort thinking that that wand belonged to him, but it didn't. It
Then the
did
whole time,
not.
like, that's what kind of like, it doesn't make it pointless, but it's like, damn, you, you bastard,
Mm-hmm.
why? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a gruesome death. I feel like it's much worse than having Avocadabra getting thrown your way.
Yeah, good stuff. Good
Avocadabra!
stuff. That's another thing too, and I'll end it on this, so because we'll jump on it to some more when we do your ranking on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was laughing at Voldemort way more than I was getting scared, if I'm being honest. Like his
Yeah.
laugh, and then like his,
It's like such good character, but like it is
yeah,
funny. I get what you're
it's
saying.
hilarious, dude. And the way he holds the wand. I mean, for everybody watching right now, you'll see me holding this. He holds it like this, literally. He's like, like, I don't know, it's just hilarious, dude. And that was such a good character choice because it fits the character really well. Yeah, like, but yeah, just a fun character and a really good villain and a really good way to end it. And you feel bad for Draco in this movie. You know what I mean? And I love when Draco walks over, by the way, to the Death Eater side. He was so torn in between staying with his friends and the good people, but his mom and dad, who are over here by the Death Eaters, he didn't know where to go with it. And
And you can almost sense that the people don't blame him. Like it's not
that's exactly my
his
next point. Yeah.
fault. Yeah.
And you see the kids around, and they literally like don't blame him at all. Like they're like, man, I would totally do that too. You know what I mean? If I was in that situation. So I love that moment so much by
You don't
him.
know what's gonna happen
And
right now, you know what I mean? And we think
exactly.
Harry Potter just died. Like
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah.
over.
And then actually, there's a deleted scene where he's the one that throws like a wand to Harry at the end when Harry wakes up, and they took it
Really?
out. So that was a crappy moment. Or crappy job by the
What?
that was a crappy job by
That
the
could have
editors.
been,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? I feel
man.
like that would have been cool.
Some
Actually
homage.
dude, there's a couple things that they took out at the end. Believe it or not, I don't remember the other ones, but there's a couple that they did like 4 different endings and just did different stuff. So look that up after this, and you'll be like, holy shit.
Oh
Like, there's
shit,
some
yeah,
good
I will.
stuff. Yeah. But and everybody watching, if you don't know about that, look it up. So yeah, that was a deleted scene. There's a couple other deleted scenes that were really good. And yeah, so his character was okay. I would have loved to see him throw the wand to Harry there at the end, for that final fight between him and Voldemort. But it's okay. Whatever. His character
Longbottom
is what it
coming
is.
out and being a world class hero.
I love Longbottom, bro. What a G.
Dude,
What a
what
G.
a little nerd turning into Hugh Hefner out there. He
Bro
was
had the
a sex
Gryffindor
icon.
sword, dude. That was a really cool little moment. That was a really cool
Yeah.
moment. And then seeing Hermione
Harry's like,
and
you
Ron
stole my
going at it.
sword.
Yeah, yeah,
You
there's good
stole my
stuff.
sword.
It's actually a good impression. But yeah, dude,
I
good stuff.
appreciate that.
Oh, my boy's happy. So yeah, that was good overall. Yeah, that's why it's number 3. These other 2 movies, the first 2 films, nostalgia is what kind of gets it for me, and I'll expand on it a little bit more once we get to those. So what's your number 3, Or did you already do number
I
3?
did number 3.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that was
cool.
Half
So there's
Blood.
number 2.
My
There we go.
number
Top 2, baby.
two, top two. My number 2, as you obviously know, it's down between 2, but I think it's gonna be the definitely more of like interesting one. People are like, this is at 2, and that's The Prisoner of Azkaban. I think, I think it's. I'm giving it its props for what it is. It's a good film. Most people think of it as the best film. I don't think it's the best, and even like personally, like the Chamber of Secrets interests me so much more as like a topic of story. Like I just that movie is so nostalgic for me, man. I hate myself for not putting it higher. I almost like cheated a little bit, like
Every single
I mean,
day, your ranking's gonna change, my boy. That's what this franchise is.
yeah, right. So, but it's a great movie, and it was the first kind of for me. It was that first step away from Hogwarts, which in the way like it's not that like oh wow thank God we're finally out of Hogwarts, but like we got to experience the world of Harry Potter for like the very first time because I feel like they were more confined to Hogwarts before that. And just a lot of really cool introductions, like Black coming in and Mr. Lupin introducing the Dementors. Like, there's just a lot more guts. You know what you tell me? There's so much chum in this movie. I really felt like there was a lot of chum in this one. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
that the other, not even that the first 2, because like I said, I think the first 2 as stories interest me more. But there's so much chum and there's so much to play with and so much that we were introduced to in this movie, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is sick, yo. Was this the one with Hagrid's spider as well?
No, that's Chamber
Or
of
is that
Secrets.
Chamber? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
you
a good
started
part from
liking you.
Chamber.
I know,
See?
man. That's what I'm saying, my boy. Oh, I was gonna
Damn
dive
it!
into that too. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yep, yep,
Damn
yep.
it!
That's such a good. Oh my god, yes, yes. Okay.
So when we get to Chamber, that's gonna be my other ranking tied as well. You know what I
Oh, that's
mean?
actually number 3. Yeah, number 2.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm giving it its credit. I know most people think it's one of the best, and I think for like as a movie, it's done so well. And just like I said, it's got so much chum. It explores so much into the universe, and I think my only negatives were kind of what we were talking about. Like felt like that werewolf teen movie a little bit at some points. Just focused on the beasts a lot of too much at some points when I'm like, yo, I just want to see the world for what it is, dog.
Yeah,
You're
exactly, dude.
introducing
Yeah.
some cool characters, and I'm focusing on damn dog the whole movie. Like, get off screen,
Well,
bro.
you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I'm gonna chime in for a second. I feel like some of the beasts that they could have explored a little bit more instead of the freaking werewolf
Why a
was
dog?
those freaking those like half horse, half dudes. What do you call them?
The centaurs.
Why not? Tell us their backstory. Oh my
Oh
god,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah.
It pisses me off.
You just wait. You wait till the freaking Umbridge to show how dominant they are.
So
Yeah, no,
stupid.
but
I wanted more of them. Anyway, go ahead.
no, and I totally agree. And I know that you only like with the transformation of the beast, you can only be like realistic animals, like you only change into like a spirit animal type thing. But like, I don't know. It like I said, it's a great movie. It's my number two. So yeah, phenomenal. I don't even really need to speak on it. I think anyone who's watched it knows it's, you know what I mean. It's most people's favorite for a reason. But yeah, I'm down to move on to your number two. I think I know what it is,
Yeah,
which
you do.
is it's like super funny of the place it's in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh, no, so it's not the one you think. So number two for me is Philosopher's Stone.
What?
At
No
number two,
way.
yeah. So you know what number one is, baby. So
Yeah.
yeah, number two is Philosopher's Stone for me. And like I said, guys, before we at the beginning of this like 2 hour long video on YouTube, we
Mhm.
I told you guys the first two films and books is what I was introduced to, and I didn't
Damn,
read or
Logan, I'm so
watch.
happy. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm so
You're good.
happy Chambers is at number one because
Yeah,
that's I'm
yeah.
tied for my number one. This works
I'll do it.
perfect,
I'll
dude.
do it justice. It's okay. I'll do it justice.
You'll do it justice
Yeah, I
for
got
me.
you, brother. So yeah, so I was introduced to these two movies, and I didn't watch any of the other films until a couple weeks ago. So these
Mhm.
hold a special place in my heart. And by the way, I'm gonna read all the other books too eventually. I want to get to these, dude, and we both need to read
Oh
them
yeah.
and like talk about them and stuff. That'd be cool. We can do a ranking of the books eventually, which would be awesome. Even though it's not really actors POV related, but whatever.
Mhm.
This movie does good enough. We'll just do like a YouTube only video. You know what I mean? That'd be
Yeah.
cool. Um, but yeah, dude. So this film, man, it's gorgeous. I mean, you have Chris Columbus, who's the director of Home Alone, that comes back
Oh
for this one.
wow.
You kind of get that same vibe, that Christmassy kid family
Yeah,
movie.
man.
But just everything's so fresh. Like I said, I'm a purist, and you'll hear me say that a lot in these next two movies. I'm a purist. So in other words, I usually like the first entry into a franchise, or usually love the first season in a show, and that's what this is. The idea is fresh. The vibe of Hogwarts is mysterious. You don't know what's out in those, the what do they call them, the woods, what do you call
The
them?
Forbidden Forest.
Forbidden Forest. That's a scary, scary name.
It
And then you
is.
explore it, and you're like, oh, it's not too bad. You know what I mean?
It's not that
It's
bad.
not too bad. You expect some crazy monsters out there, but there's really not too much, except for the spider, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, so like, I don't know, everything was just more scary. This place was mysterious. It was a lot like, even though it was a lighthearted movie, it was almost like dark and mysterious inside the castle. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
No,
Um,
totally.
and just I'm a big tone and atmospheric kind of guy, and this has some of the best, probably right behind part one of Deathly Hallows, with the best atmosphere and tone. You know what I mean? Just Hogwarts,
Yeah.
like the music was fresh, the characters were fresh, the world was fresh, and going to Diagon Alley, Hogsmeade, all that, like it felt so cool. And Harry shopping with Hagrid, and you're
Super
learning
cool.
about Harry's backstory with Harry, and it felt so cool. It's like, I don't
I
know,
think that's why I like Hogwarts Legacy so much when you first open up because like it paid homage to the movie
it's
a little
fresh.
bit.
Yeah, it's fresh,
Yeah.
and that's why I love this movie so much. And yeah, the other movies had the good, fun, just good stuff in it. The cocaine, but
Cocaine
this,
Bear.
yeah, exactly. He actually makes an appearance in this movie, but he I don't know, just the vibe overall just was really fresh and new, and I loved it. And like I said, even though the other movies had more stuff in it, more substance, this movie was more grounded. I'm a very grounded type of guy. I love,
Mhm.
grounded, just straightforward story driven movies, and that's what this is. Um, and yeah, there's not much to say about it, dude. Just love all the really fun moments in it. I love the hats sorting.
Throwing hat. Yeah,
Just like,
man.
oh, what house
You're
is he gonna
totally
go
right.
into? Like, it's so nostalgic, dude. It's so fresh. And then what I love about, by the way, the Harry Potter movies overall, this is a positive for all the movies. As you go along, you see the younger kids, the year ones. You know what I mean? It's just so cool to see Harry, like it's like a fourth year, and then see like the fresh
In the
kids,
first year over there,
yeah, that
yeah.
are like doing the hat sorting and everything. And it's like, it's just so cool to see that, because Harry was once in that position. And
And
this is just so cool to see it in this film, and seeing, the Ron and Hermione who sit, in the same train booth together, and they're all sitting there talking, and they're wanting to be in the same house, um and yeah, there's nothing to. Oh yeah, the plot twist with Snape not being the bad guy was really cool, because like I said, the first two
yeah, you're kind of
movies,
led to believe that.
yeah, Snape was like the main villain really in the first two movies, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was painted in this terrible picture, but which why didn't they keep going with that? I don't know. Whatever. You guys know my opinion on that. I talked about it earlier.
Mm.
But he was great in these first two films, dude. Alan Rickman was great, which is why he almost quit after the second movie, and that's why J.K. Rowling said, "No, we got some really good stuff for you in the sixth movie. Be ready for it. Trust me, you want to stay." And then he was in like two scenes for the next three movies. But no, just really good stuff overall by his character in this. You know what I mean? When Harry's his broomstick gets like moved around in the Quidditch match, remember? And it's like, oh, why is Snape doing that? And Hermione goes over there and does the fire on Snape's feet, remember? When really Snape was trying to stop him from doing it and trying to help him out, but it was really the bad guy, the Defense of the Dark Arts teacher that was really doing it and messing Harry
Yeah.
up on the broom. So just really cool stuff overall. I loved his character. The third act was not my favorite in the sense of
Really?
the third act was good, but the reveal of the guy and having Voldemort on the back, I was like, okay, it's nothing too crazy. And then the battle
Mm.
lasted for 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes. Like he just
Yeah, he
touched him,
him.
and
It's like,
yeah, I was like, all right, which is why I love Chamber of Secrets, because the third act is 10 times better. But I do like the adventure the kids go through. You know what I mean, with the three-headed dog, Fluffy. You know what I mean, and them trying
yeah,
to get down, and they go in that was like little
super
the
cool,
roots.
definitely.
Remember the roots that they had to kind of get through, and they drop down.
Yeah.
And then they do the room of keys. Remember they got to find the key, and
Mm.
then it was the chess match,
The chess match.
which was
Yeah.
it's just so nostalgic, bro. I don't know, I love it. So just the vibe overall, it's just one of those movies that it's like season one of Stranger Things. The vibe is just it's mysterious,
It's there.
and that's what
It's
this
there.
is for me. So I love the castle, magical feel. That's the word. It's a magical movie,
Yeah.
and it just kind
I
of
totally
leads
agree.
into the second film for me.
No, and I totally agree. It's also, I feel like, one of the more rewatchable ones as well. Like, you could always go back and you could stick that one in and be happy every time. Like,
It is.
it's just it's such a fun one. No, you're totally right. It has such a magical vibe to it.
Mhm.
And I think that's what it does make it so good.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you, like I said, you take out that third, or not third act, but you take out that final battle or whatever you want to call it between the Voldemort thing on the back of that guy's head, and then Harry Potter, and put in the Chamber of Secrets final battle. This movie is number one for me, easy, and I'm assuming it would go up on
Mm-hmm.
your list a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just overall, just fun. And I'll talk about my number one since you guys already know what it is, which is Chamber of Secrets. This film, I think,
Yeah.
is just perfect. It's too long. No, it's not. It's character development. Get used to it. It's a story-driven film. It's amazing. Harry's talking to these
And you would
anacondas.
think people wouldn't be upset about that with it being Harry Potter, like a book
Because it's
series.
literally the book. It's word for word the book.
Why are
almost.
you exactly? And most people are like, "Oh, they never fit enough in the film."
Yeah.
Why are you complaining about this time?
Y- y- y-
Why are you
You
bitching?
can't win.
No,
You can't win. You
not to
can't
be
win.
that guy.
Yeah. So it just whatever. I don't listen to that. But Dobby brought me in right away. Dobby's one of the probably top 3 character in the franchise, and he's only in like 2 movies,
Mr. Potter.
which is, by the way, a crime. He should have been in more movies. I just want to say that right now. It's crazy
For
he
real.
wasn't in more, and it really bothered me because I thought he would be in a lot more.
Especially this
Um,
doesn't he get set free in this one too?
Yes,
This is
Dobby is free. Thank you, Potter.
so why was Dobby not here more?
I don't know. You sound like Korg.
Korg.
I'm just a pile of rocks. But no. So just I love Dobby's character for sure. The flying car, the beginning when he breaks out of the place, and there's a bar on the windows.
Yeah,
dude.
I was like,
Oh
what is
my
their name?
God, dude.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I can't think of the people.
I know that the little kid was Dudley.
The Dudley, yeah, the
But-
Dudleys.
No, the little kid's name was Dudley. That was his first
Dudley?
name.
Yeah.
I don't know the last
I
name.
can't
though.
remember their last.
The
Yeah, why
Dudleys.
can I not-
We'll call them the
the
Dudleys.
Dudleys.
Whatever.
Yeah, we'll call them the
No one
Dudleys.
liked him anyway. But yeah, so that whole thing was great. Still has the vibe of the first film. I love the spider. The spider stuff was awesome, dude.
Super
By the
cool.
way, Hagrid. That's another thing. Hagrid was almost. I mean, he was in the third movie a lot as well, but he was in the fourth one a little bit. Fifth one, he just disappeared for like I think in the Order of Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince. He wasn't really there. And that's what I love about these first 2 movies is he's kind of Harry's mentor. Like he does everything with Harry Potter,
Yeah,
which is great. And who doesn't love Hagrid, dude? By the way, R.I.P. to the
Yeah.
actor who played him, who
that happened
passed away
recent.
last year, I think.
Last year? Yeah.
Something like that, which is just terrible, man. but oh, just such a phenomenal actor, man, and he was just so lovable. He's like a big teddy bear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just he's such a good character, and that's one thing I forgot to mention about Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
Depending on where you're from. He was awesome in that movie, and he carried it so much. And when he breaks into the people's house, breaks down the door, like it had that magical vibe, dude. It was so mysterious. I love that entire sequence. But you definitely need to go back and watch these movies again, bro. I want to see what
Dude,
you think
I
about that.
definitely am. I was thinking
Um,
about starting it tonight. Why
yeah,
not?
go. Well, I probably need to watch Tar tonight or one of those because I'm probably gonna do that
Yeah.
too, or the Irish thing, so we can get that done. But after that, I'm diving into it too, my guy. But no, I want to watch some Harry Potter as well. But yeah, so just really good stuff by that and the vibe. The final act, man, the final battle, dude, with Tom Riddle's diary, which is super interesting,
Super
by the
cool.
way, and them trying to find the Chamber of Secrets with Moaning Myrtle. Remember Moaning Myrtle?
Yeah.
She was hilarious, by the way, in Goblet of Fire. Remember Harry has to jump in the bath or whatever, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh," she's like, she goes under the water. I was like, "What the hell? What are we doing?"
You doing?
Yeah, that was really funny. But no, Moaning Myrtle was good in this movie as well. She was pretty funny, and she was obviously had a very important part in it with seeing the snake, which is what killed her in the stall. So that was really cool. And her,
Yeah.
showing where the Chamber of Secrets is in that little thing, the mirror, the sink.
Yeah, finding out her little backstory. I get what you're saying. It was
Yeah,
just really cool.
probably the. Oh, also, you get introduced into Malfoy, Draco's dad, Lucius.
Yeah.
That was a really cool sequence. I love that. Um, and yeah,
Introduction of the Gryffindor sword.
that was really cool too. And like I said, the whole Tom Riddle thing at the end was really cool. I am Voldemort. Like that was just I don't know. I love that, dude. I thought that whole sequence was really cool. And
Yeah.
by the way, the CGI. Let's talk about the CGI of the snake. The fact that CGI was so good in 2002 is unreal. I mean,
Unreal.
dude,
Yeah.
think about some of the stuff that came out in 2002. How was it that like it was really good? Like there was literally
Yeah.
not one moment when watching that where I was like, this sucks. Like it was genuinely some of the best CGI I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like especially for that time. So really good job there. And I'm just the reason I had like a brain fart earlier is because I was thinking of all the stuff we didn't talk about with other movies. Nothing serious. I'm just kind of going through a bunch of the beats with like the Order of Phoenix and like all different characters coming together and like that little secret society thing was cool and just stuff like that. I was just
Yeah.
thinking about. But that we didn't really hit. But no, just a really good film and Chamber of Secrets. I do want to say this. Um, there was one thing, yeah, the one thing that I'm not a big fan of, that is not really a big negative. It just kind of like it's a forgettable character. Is that dude that like he's like the famous author?
Yes, the one that's the teacher.
Yeah, he's forgettable. I didn't really care for him.
What a
He was kind of
dweeb.
annoying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like he obviously was just trying to act bigger than what he was. He wasn't really what he said he was. He was a liar. I don't know. It
Yeah.
just like I understand where they were going with that character, but it just was kind of like I was like whatever. Like I don't really care about it. Like I'm assuming it worked better in the book than how it worked in the film. It didn't really hit for me. Because of that, that's one thing that I'm like, all right, let's go, come on, let's keep going. Don't want to see this anymore. But
Yeah,
other than
nobody wants
that,
to watch this guy.
yeah, other than that, dude, it's an insane film that I think is just it's Sorcerer's Stone, but 10 times better. It's just better than what it was, and because of that, it's an incredible film. That's why it's number one for me.
That's totally fair, man. And like I said, in a personal, more of a personal way, that probably is one of my top three. You know what I mean? I freaking love that movie, and I love the Chamber Secrets, and it was one of the coolest Harry Potter mysteries always for me. I
Yeah.
think, and like even playing the game now, and like just doing more lore, like with that being one of the founders who created that, and when you find out um the Slytherin code basically and how they wanted only like the true bloods and like that snake was meant to be released by a true blood
Yeah,
and take over Hogwarts when they wanted to like get rid of all the mean muggles you could call them. But
that was
I
cool.
think it's super dope idea. Yeah, and I think I feel like Harry Potter, if this was done like this time now, we would have so many like spin-off series, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, one hundred
And
percent.
it sucks that we kind of don't get to see more. Like Fantastic Beasts is cool, but they introduced Grindelwald and literally Deathly Hallows think it's part one or part two.
Mm-hmm.
Literally like the last two movies, and then we get the whole backstory, but it's from their perspective instead of our Harry Potter character's
Yeah,
perspective. So it's like, and it sucks, like how we're talking about Hagrid's character and and Snape, like they're passing away, so it's like they're running out of time to do stuff with people like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, my number one, I think you've probably guessed it at this point. If you haven't, you're crazy. We've been sitting here. It's Deathly Hallows Part Two, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, perfect film to me. Like, not a perfect film, but like for the entire story, you start off in day one, and it's just like you had Deathly Hallows Part One to just set this movie up so perfectly, and I feel like it did. Like it's just jam packed throughout the whole thing. It's the final battle. It's taking all of that sorrow and the sadness and turning it into anger and frustration, using that to fight. I feel like you really get to see everybody truly come together in this one, and like everyone's protecting Harry. And like this movie was really all about Harry. Like they're all about him, but this focused on everything he's been training for, everything he's been getting ready for, like everything we've watched, man. This is it. This is the end. And I feel like where most series go wrong is they do terrible, you know, with the last film or towards the end of the films. And like with Harry Potter, I feel like they ended perfect. Like it was such a perfect ending. And
When
like
they're
building
old and
on
stuff,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, man. And it's like, and that's exactly what you're saying with the cursed child. Like it sits here, and even the actors, I promise you, are sitting there like, do we really want to go back and do this? Like we could tarnish century long work that's just been so well made.
I
And
wouldn't touch it.
it's very fair. It's very fair. The only way, like, I feel like you people will still be able to argue it is if it's not called Harry Potter, but it's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, so it's
You
hard.
have to. You have to do that
Exactly.
because no, because
Exactly.
that's going to be an excuse to shy away from the Harry Potter character and do what they want
Mm-hmm.
to do, and then fans won't be associated with it. Don't they have to call it
Can't
Harry
do it.
Potter, dude? If
Right?
you're gonna do it, do it. If you're not gonna do it, don't do it. You know what I mean? I hate
Yeah.
when I hate, dude. That's actually something a lot of franchises do, by the way, and they try to sugarcoat it a little bit by saying, oh, it's not totally related to it, or it's not totally, it's in the same universe, but it's not connected. It's like stop, stop, stop,
Like the
stop, stop,
nun.
stop.
The
That's what I'm saying,
nun.
bro. It's like if you're gonna go for it, go for it. Like just
Yeah.
have the guts, dude. And I think that's what they're gonna do. If they're gonna make this, which it seems like they're gonna do it, and it sounds like they're coming back.
I
I
love
don't
it's
know.
gonna be
I
good.
just listen.
I think it'll be good.
I have a really good feeling about these types of things. Like I usually can tell you if a movie's gonna be bad or if a movie's gonna be good before it comes out. I think this movie's gonna be one of those bad movies. I think it's gonna be a very divisive movie. I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy it, but I think a lot of people are also gonna hate it. I'm already know I'm gonna hate it. Like I already know that's not a good thing, by the way. Don't ever predetermine how you're gonna feel about a film. But I don't want it. Like I don't want to see it. You know what I mean? It's not a movie I want. This
And
is a
bro,
perfect
you're
ending.
not. The movie is very much like, I don't want to say a repeat of Deathly Hallows Part Two, like, but I'm pretty sure like, and anyone in the comments correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't read the book, man, dude, in like 5 6 years, but pretty sure like Voldemort just comes back and fights Harry's son instead. Like, bro, like it's the same shit.
It's a very
Like
divisive
even
book. Yeah.
and that's where it's like I loved it because I think the story's excellent and I think they did it well, but like at the same time, you're still just following Harry still. And like I thought we ended this 20 years ago. But I think Deathly Hollows, like I said, perfect ending. It wasn't too Hollywood. This is like I made this comment earlier. When have you seen magic before? Yes, we've seen like Lord of the Rings and stuff, but this is the wizarding world, and this is spells, this is trolls, this is elves, goblins, and this world is so much different and vastly. I don't know. I think it's just such an amazing movie because they wrapped everything together perfectly. All the characters, the tone was perfect. The the actions in the movie was perfect. Like I love the sequence where Harry dies. Like he literally lets himself die, knowing that's what needs to be done, not knowing why it needs to be done, just knowing it needs to be done.
Abracadabra.
Finding out, yeah, finding out in the limbo stage, like he is the chosen one indeed, and like this is why he's the Horcrux, and it's like holy shit, man. And one of my favorite things at the ending is Harry like realizing he is the true elder wand holder, and he snaps it and he's like, this has caused no good, everyone's gonna fight for this forever, like once I die people are gonna want this one, let's get rid of it. And kind of like that's like it's so funny how symbolically they do it, but after all of this time, from the moment like Voldemort killed Harry's parents, like that snap of the wand was Harry breaking away from Voldemort forever. I feel like symbolically, and then he throws it away, and he's like, I don't need it. I'm the most powerful.
Until the cursed child.
Until the fucking cursed child, bro. But yeah, man, that's my number one.
Yeah. No, I can't really argue with that, dude. That's a good one. That's a good one. Um, yeah, there you go. That's our
Yeah,
ranking.
man.
Let's kind of read them off again. I'll start from my favorite to least favorite. It goes Chamber of Secrets, Philosopher or Sorcerer's Stone, uh, Deathly Hallows Part 2, Goblet of Fire, Deathly Hallows Part 1, Half-Blood Prince, Prisoner of Azkaban, Order of Phoenix.
I got Deathly Hallows Part 2. I get the Prisoner of Azkaban, Chamber of Secret. What? What? What?
What was that?
What was that? 3 Half-Blood Prince, 4 Goblet of Fire, 5 Deathly Hallows Part 1, 6 Chamber of Secret, Prisoner of Azkaban. um, wow. I'm just gonna say sorcerers because obviously I can't talk.
Dude,
Sorcerer's
I've been
Stone,
bad this video too.
Sorcerer's Stone, and then 8. Me and Logan can agree on this one. Order of the Phoenix.
Dude, we had what? So we had 8 Order of Phoenix at 8. We had Part 1 at 5, Goblet at 4.
And that was what we had all in
That's
total.
actually pretty insane, dude. 3.
Yeah. We were almost
go,
50%. We were almost,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's wild, bro. That's crazy. But yeah, no, just unreal, man. If you guys are watching this ranking on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like. Comment down below what your ranking is. Let us know. And subscribe if you're new. Why not? See our sexy faces even more.